In our series on the 3 secrets to successful breastfeeding, we're going to talk about the first secret to success, which is feeding your baby both responsively and frequently. Responsive feeding means that you really watch your baby for feeding cues, and you offer to feed your baby anytime your baby shows those feeding cues and acts hungry. Feeding cues are your baby's language. It's almost like sign language for babies. It's how they try to tell you that they're hungry. With a newborn, at first, it can be subtle when they first start to get hungry. They might lick, mouth, root, and turn their head side to side. It might look a little bit like this. If you've ever held a hungry baby, whether it was your own or not, and the baby started doing the head turn with their mouth open, you knew that they were hungry probably, and hopefully passed baby to mom if it wasn't your baby. Well, these signs are really important to make note of and respond to with breastfeeding. You want to nurse your baby anytime they show those feeding cues, regardless of how long it's been. So even if you just fed 30 minutes ago, but baby starts to root and mouth again, then put your baby to the breast. This is important for a lot of reasons. The first is that it helps your baby to learn that he or she lives in a safe, trusting environment where their needs will be met. This is the foundation for your relationship with your baby going forward. Everything else is built on this foundation of love and trust. So as your baby starts to communicate to you and you respond to your baby, he or she is learning that her needs will be met and she can trust you, and that builds on everything else going forward. Another reason this is important is because in reality, only your baby knows how much food she's getting when she breastfeeds. Babies are great at self-regulating when they're feeding at the breast. They know when they're hungry and they know when they're full, and they won't overfeed directly at the breast. At the breast, babies have a mechanism where they can switch from an eating suck, which is strong and pulls milk out, to a comfort suck, which is light and fluttery and doesn't express milk. So it lets them get all of their needs met at the breast, both hunger and comfort nursing, and without overeating. So watch your baby for those feeding cues. If you miss those early stages of hunger where the baby's rooting and mouthing, they'll start to become more frantic. They might start to shove their hand in their mouth, turn more rapidly side to side, and start to have a little bit of a distressed or kind of concerned look on their face. If you see those signs, immediately get your baby to the breast. If you miss those signs, or maybe if your baby slept through those early stages of hunger and all of a sudden wakes up and is in the hangry stage, this is when your baby might start to cry and be very agitated. We never want to wait until babies are crying to feed them, because they actually don't cry when they're hungry until they've been hungry a long time. So waiting for a baby to cry to feed them is actually waiting until it's been too long and they've been hungry a long time, and this can lead to slower growth and reduced milk supply. So try to catch your baby early. If they are really hungry and really upset when you try to offer the breast, they might cry and flail and not be able to calm to latch. If that's the case, try hand expressing a drop of milk in your baby's mouth. Sometimes when they just get that little taste of it in their mouth, they calm and realize food is on its way. In addition to feeding our babies responsibly, it's also really important that as the parent, you also take initiative to feed your baby frequently. Some babies are really sleepy and will sleep through their hunger, and because of that, they end up not getting enough feeds each day. So on one hand, we feed on the early side when babies show feeding cues. On the other hand, we want to take initiative to offer breastfeeds to our baby if they're not on their own eating frequently. For a newborn, we recommend a minimum of 8 to 12 feeds per 24 hours. This may or may not decrease as they get older. It's best to meet with a lactation consultant to find out what would be a normal feeding pattern for your specific baby's needs and your milk supply. But generally speaking, breastfed babies don't significantly change their feeding patterns over time. Usually by 4 months, most families will find their baby is in the 7 to 9 times a day range, but it can vary widely. The key here though is you're the parent and you need to take initiative to offer to breastfeed your baby if they aren't getting enough feeds on their own. Your baby's not going to overfeed. So if you offer the breast and your baby refuses it when you offer it, then you can trust their feeding cues, trust that they're full. On the other hand, when you wake your baby from an extended long nap where they're skipping a feed, or if they start sleeping through the night and not getting that necessary middle of the night feed, then you wake them up and you offer the breast. And most of the time they will actually be hungry and they'll be glad to take a feed at those times that you offer it. So we want to have this combination of feeding responsibly and offering frequently. If parents follow this one simple guideline, it is the best predictor of breastfeeding success. Not only does it protect your milk supply long term, but it also protects baby's growth, and it builds a foundation of trust in your relationship with baby. We really see it as being the #1 key to success.